Thanks for joining us today on The Perfect X. My name is Sherry, and this is my co host, Ben.
Hi everyone, this is Ben.
And today we're going to talk about cheating. But before we get into that, Ben, a couple questions. One, what happened with the girl? And two, where were you this weekend?
Yeah, sure. So what happened with this girl is nothing. She never answered. She hasn't texted me or anything. And so, I haven't texted her back. Um, the last text was, "Hey, um, the game is on Thursday. It's around 8." And she never answered. So that's it.
That was it?
Um,
That's the end of her?
well, at least for now, yeah. She never answered back, and I'm not gonna reach out. I have some things to do. Like I have a dinner today, and so I mean,
No, you definitely should not reach back out. I think that ship has sailed in that sense. I mean, doesn't mean it's over. Maybe she will reach out to you, but I don't feel like you should do anything else after that.
oh yeah, at this point I'm not gonna do anything, and so I'm just gonna leave it like that. And if I go back to that place, I'm gonna go up and say hi to her. I have to order beer from her, so um, but yeah, other than that, that's it with this girl. And during this weekend, well, all my family lives in Mexico, and so I have a really good friend, and I know her parents and everything. And she invited me over to her parents' house on Saturday. But first, we went out bowling, and it's just like a arcade games and stuff like that near her parents' house, which is kind of like an hour and a half away from where I live. And so we went there and just were bowling and stuff like that. And then we ended up staying the entire weekend. And because it was a long weekend because of Juneteenth, I just came back on Monday.
Yeah, I was like, what's the kind of weekend is this? Like you just said you can't on Monday connect, and then I had no idea it was a long weekend. I was working. No one FYI'd me.
Yeah, well, you didn't know? I didn't
No.
know. I think this is something kind of recent, but yeah, where I work, they gave us a day off, so I was like, okay.
But that's kind of cool. So you stayed there for like 2 nights.
Yeah, I stayed there for 2 nights, and it was good. Just hanging out with them. They're a really nice couple. They're my friend's parents, but they're really nice. They've invited me over to Thanksgiving several times. I know my friend uncles, grandparents. I know a lot of people in her family, so I'm always welcome there, and we always have a good time.
I have to ask you one quick question back to the girl thing. It just kind of
Yes.
popped in my head all of a sudden. Are you upset? Do you care?
I'm not upset. I no, I'm not upset. Really, nothing has really happened. There's nothing for me to get upset for. She just didn't answer, and she may not be interested, and that's it.
But
I'm
also
not
one
gonna.
good thing did come out of it. Like it showed you can approach somebody. You said like you don't, even though you kind of knew her, but even then you don't really approach people. And you kind of did that. So even if nothing ever comes of this or whatever the situation ends up being, I mean, you kind of got to be impressed with yourself. You went after a situation which you initially said you wouldn't even do.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of
So
impressive.
yeah. Yeah. I like what I did. It didn't work out, or at least it's not working out right now. But yeah. But again, going back to like you and that you have had like bad experience with guys that are like texting you like mean things. I would never text her like not even like, hey, that was really rude of you not answering. I don't know what
It
happened with
is kind of rude though. Like, I mean, you kind of said it and then you talked about what you did this weekend, but I kind of processed it while you were talking about that too. It is kind of rude only because like you guys weren't like a Tinder thing, so it's not like she could have just like ghosted. Like she does know you go into the bar. The nice thing would have just been like, "Hey, I'm really sorry I can't this weekend," or to just be like, "I really like you as a friend, but I'm kind of seeing someone," or like make up a lie. Like, how would you know? You know? Like
yeah, of course.
you share space. So the polite thing would have been for her to respond some sense. But I mean you kind of saw her colors now too, right?
Yeah.
Like you know.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I don't know if she is dating someone. She might be, and she was just like trying to be nice. And I mean, I don't know. I never asked her that. I was just like, "Hey,
But
give me your phone number."
I feel like we're old enough, or we're in a kind of society where you can just share that. And people used to get so offended. I remember back in the day when you were like, "Oh, sorry, I'm dating someone." The guy would be like, "I didn't even ask you out," but just be like, "Yeah," like in general. Now I don't think we get as offended as we used to. Like egos have definitely died down.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you're not a stalker, so you haven't like kept harassing her. You're not going to. Like she's very lucky considering my past experiences, but I mean, she still could have just like openly told you, like, hey, I'm seeing someone, or like, even if you're not pursuing past this, she could have just said it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I'm fine. I mean, I'm not upset. I mean, it is what it is, you know?
That's good. I'm
Yeah.
really impressed that the situation, like, that's one thing I think what people forget in dating situations, experience, or being single or whatever, is that it's just an experience to push us out of our comfort zone. And
Yeah.
that's kind of goes a general rule in life. Like, maybe you were meant to just bump into her to just get you, because we were just talking about how you don't go up to people. And then the situation happened, it presented itself. So it kind of, you kind of had that seed in your brain from our conversation, and then a situation that wasn't as intense, like it wasn't a complete stranger, arise for you, and you took it, and it kind of showed you different aspects of your own personality and capabilities. So maybe that's all it ever was. And I think that's what we sometimes forget when we're dating. We take everything so personal, and we forget that sometimes it's not even about you. Like, you don't know what's going on in her life. Like, maybe she really is just busy and she's not a very good communicative person, or maybe she's dating someone, or maybe she's not interested. Either which way, it doesn't always involve you, but what does involve you is the opportunity of an experience,
Of course,
you
yeah.
know?
And we also always have to remember, like, just because you ask someone out, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a yes, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always a 50-50% like chance that she'll answer back and she'll say yes to go out. And we could have gone out and still like not date, you know, like just
Or
gone out once. And
not
yeah,
connected like that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
And
I just know her from another bar that I used to go. I just thought she was really pretty. And I mean, I always was like, I know that she was dating someone, so I never even tried to. And then when I saw her again and she told me she broke up with that dude, I was like, well, cool, you know, but that's about it, you know?
yeah, that's true. And she probably, like, she also probably didn't know if you were gonna, when she said share that information, if you were gonna ask her out, or maybe she's not even sure if you want to be friends or something serious. Like, she doesn't know either, right? Like, so it's not like you got turned down because she doesn't even know what you're asking. You could have just been asking her to hang out as a friend. You did invite her in a group setting. You know what I mean? So it's
Of
not like
course, yeah.
personal to you. And I think we really, really have to be mindful of that. Like, it's just not always personal, and it's just part of dating. Like, the reality is, like, everybody is not everyone's type. Like, for whatever reason, someone doesn't mean you're not good enough. And this is not about you, but just in general. Like, we really got to take the personal out of it. Like, as amazing as someone might be, or as good looking as they might be, or as successful, or whatever they might be, doesn't mean that there are someone else's type. Like, we all just are naturally attracted to different things. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
again,
I mean,
the other thing is that I went with a girlfriend. So I don't know if she like also is like, oh well, this guy comes with a girl and then invites me out. Like I don't know if she's like, is he just like a player or you know?
exactly. Exactly. Like, you have no idea what she actually thinks. And that's the best thing that you aren't doing, is that you're not making it a personal dig on who you are as an individual. You're just taking it as an experience, which is really,
Yeah.
really important, which is
Yeah.
great. Ah,
Yes.
another good thing about Ben. Before we go into cheating, I also want to say something. Please follow us. Our Instagram's up now. The logo we haven't finalized, but I did use one of our prototypes that your lovely brother-in-law made for us. I think we have about 40 followers so far, but please follow us. It's the perfect underscore X, just the letter X, on Instagram. We have a Facebook page. Nothing's done on that yet, but hopefully I will soon. You can also email us any questions that you have or topics you want us to discuss at the perfect X hotmail.com. We always do X with just the letter X. We don't spell out EX at all. It's just the letter X. Again, every one of our socials are underscore X, but our email is just the perfect X at hotmail.com. Cool.
Yeah. And
Just
something that
fun.
I would love from everyone that's listening is if you have questions, I would love to do one day a show of just
Yes.
answering questions that people have.
A
And
few of
I mean,
those. That would be so fun.
yeah. But yeah,
And even if they're personal questions about me and Ben, I'm all for it. Ben's an open book. We don't care. Like, ask us anything. Ask us your questions about your own. If you want our opinions on your own life, ask us if you want to know about our lives. Like, just ask. Ask dating questions, things that you want us to bring up on the show. We're all for it.
yes.
All right. All right, Ben. So I'll ask you first. What do you consider cheating?
Ah, I consider cheating anything. So I consider cheating like making out with someone, kissing with someone, but also when just the texting of somebody else, like if I was dating someone and that person is just texting someone and she doesn't, I mean, I don't, we don't have to share everything, but if there's this guy that has been like texting and texting and she like continues that and she doesn't let me know, and there could be like some like, hey, let's go out for coffee or something, I consider that cheating, like just not me knowing what my person is doing, you know?
But do you mean in the sense of them having a friend? Like, I'm not gonna, every time I text one of my guy friends, I'm not gonna tell my boyfriend. But do you mean that person existing in their life, or the depth of their friendship, or them hanging out? Like, what part of that? Like
So yeah, I feel it's more of just like a random guy, because I mean I'm never gonna get jealous about a friend. Like if my girlfriend has boyfriends as or guy friends, and I mean I'm not gonna get jealous about that. But if I start seeing like she deletes text or she's like on her phone like hidden, or you know,
she's
because
trying to
you
hide
can,
something.
yeah, you can totally tell when people are like hiding stuff, you know.
I think what you mean, which I consider cheating as well. So I believe that we meet people all the time, and I meet people randomly. I'm super social. I mean, we met randomly. I meet people randomly all the time. I think it's great when guys and girls can be friends. I actually think that shows you're a human being, because a male, I prefer a guy who can be just friends with a girl with no hidden agenda, no hidden intent, no like looking for an opportunity. That actually shows a good human in my eyes. So I 100% believe guys and girls can be friends. For me, cheating is, like, of course, physical thing, anything physical. Like, even if a guy held a hand with another girl, if my boyfriend held some girl's hand, I would rip their hands off, like finger by finger. I would go like real cartel on them. I take each each fucking finger off one by one. But I anything physical, of course. Emotional cheating is the worst to me. And one aspect of emotional cheating, which I think is what you're trying to say, is like, if maybe not like a previous friend, but like, let's say my boyfriend went out to a party and became friends with a girl, which I think is so fucking normal. Like, you end up talking to some girl, you're totally chill, you talk to them as if you would one of your guy friends. Like, that's the difference. Like, a person that knows how to be friends with the opposite sex talks to the person the same way they would with the same sex, if they're not interested in the same sex, or you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
whatever sex they're not interested in, or they just talk to them they would a friend. And I think that if that's the case, like, let's say my boyfriend's at a party, and I had a very my old ex, like my first like long term boyfriend, he's a very social person. Like, he befriended everyone. My girlfriends loved him, and he would go to the club sometimes on guys' nights and make friends with girls. And then he would come back and be like, "Hey, I met this super cool chick. I invited her out to come out with us next time." That was normal. Like, that was, he wasn't hiding her. He wasn't like, he met some super cool girl, didn't tell me about it, started texting me behind my back and making plans with her and not telling me that this person existed. That would be cheating. But
Of
him
course.
meeting some girl and her being so chill and him inviting her out with all of us, that's fucking normal. So I think you and I are on the same page. Like, if the person, let's say a guy meets another girl, or your girlfriend meets another guy and then keeps that new relationship hidden, it seems like there's a hidden agenda because otherwise, why wouldn't you share it?
Of course, yeah. Like for me, one of the main things in a relationship is communication. Like you need to have communication. You need to be able to tell your person everything, you know?
Mhm.
So why would I not go up to my girlfriend and just be like, "Hey, I met this girl," like what you were saying, you know? Like why do I have to keep it hidden?
If it's shady, that's what we're really saying. If the person's actually
Correct.
shady.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if you went to play basketball with your guy friends and a new player came and you met them and you thought they were cool, and you came back and you told your girlfriend, if you went out and there was that new player was a girl and you did the same thing, you wouldn't care. But
Yeah, of course.
if they hid it and they were intentionally hiding it, and people can tell we're like when there's intent, that's
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, or at work, you know, like a new person just joined and it's a girl and you end up like having to work with that person. And that's how, I mean, you're 8 hours at work. And so of course you're gonna have long conversations with people there.
Yeah.
And then you just start like you never tell your significant other, oh, I met this person. Like, yeah, I don't know.
When I
I think
used
we're
to
on the
work
same
in
page.
when in office, oh my God, I used to get along with I worked with all guys and I got along with most of them. But in Vancouver, my first like long job, I loved all of them. I got so along with someone, but I had what we called my work husband, and he, like me and his wife got along so well. She used to call me his work wife because I would every time they had a problem, I would like talk him through it, like tell him what to do to fix it, and she loved me. It was just such an open communication. We all got along so well. It was like like I was like her backup in some sense, but also me and him just got along so well. Like there was no hidden agenda. Like jokingly, they called me, or I even have like, friends where like my old boyfriend, he got along so well. I had a girlfriend who she was like really an amazing cook, and I never cooked, and I used to call him her wife, and I was his mistress, even though I was his girlfriend of 2 years. But because she would like cook him food and make him lunch and like pack him meals, like and she really never tried to date him. She just was an amazing cook and she loved cooking for everybody. And she would like do it for her brother, her brother's friends. And he just, like that's just fun. That's just being human. But
Yeah. And it also talks about like how much you believe in the other person, you know, like the trust
trust.
you can have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so also if I meet someone, if I'm out with my guy friends and we're hanging out wherever, and this girl comes up and starts talking, I would really try to put in the conversation or like mention that I have a girlfriend, you know, like because if I also don't bring it up, it's also kind of like shady, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. I think like sometimes it depends on the kind of context. Like I used to have an ex and he was so fucking shady to be honest with you. But I feel like he would kind of go out of his way not to mention when he went out to guys' nights. They had guys' night every Friday to not mention he had a girlfriend. But that was odd. But I also think it's odd when like you're just talking to someone and then they're like, I have a girlfriend. Like, well, I was just
Oh
talking.
yeah,
Like
no,
I
of
wasn't
course. I mean, if it's like in the conversation, you know, like, oh yeah, so what did you do last weekend? Oh, last weekend I went with my girlfriend
Yes, yeah.
hiking or something
Yes,
like that. Like I would mention it. But if I
exactly.
just meet you and I have a girlfriend and I'm like, oh, last weekend, yeah, I went hiking with friends. You're like really? Like, why don't you say I went hiking with my girlfriend? You know, like
Yeah,
why
yeah,
would you?
no, exactly, exactly. It's
So
kind of
yeah,
like being
I
natural about it.
yeah, yeah. I feel that even though it's not cheating, but you may have the intention of it, you know,
I kind
like
of I see exactly what you're saying. I actually we when we met a group of guys last week. It was last weekend. It was a couple weekends ago actually. One guy kept talking about like how he bought a house, and then once and he was just really annoying. And so once I was, being me, I just bluntly like told him like dude, you're so fucking annoying. Like we don't want to talk to you. Then he was like, I have a wife anyway. But it's like, why didn't you the 10 minutes before when you said I bought a house, like me, my wife bought a house. Like, why didn't you say something
correct.
like that? Once we completely turned you down and told you to fuck off, then you were like, I have a wife anyway. That was shady,
Yeah.
Like he could have easily been like, 'cause he was like, where do you guys live? And then he's like, I live here. I just bought a house. Like he could have said, we just bought a house with my wife. Like he could have said something like that. So yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and more a wife, because
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
you signed the contract, so it's like
He had
we
half a
now.
he had half the house to lose, and that fucker was still at the bar trying to hide the fact.
Yeah,
This is California. She could have taken half of that.
of
Okay, so
course.
have you ever cheated?
Yes, I have.
And when?
But
Age, story.
when I was uh younger, um in my past, oof, I'm 40. I think that maybe the last time I cheated was around when I was like 25, 26.
25, 26. Okay, that's young.
Yeah,
I always say you're
it's
married in your 20s, divorced in your 30s, so wasn't even
yeah.
at that it wasn't even at the right serious age
Yeah, no,
anyways.
I mean, and there were girlfriends that, I mean, we had not really dated that long, and I mean, it wasn't like so serious. We were not living together. Still, I cheated. I mean, I'm not saying, oh, then it was fine, but it wasn't like anything like really serious. But
Mhm.
with my real serious girlfriend that I had back in Mexico, that she was gonna move here to the States, never. Like,
No.
and we were really um like we would trust on each other and we would talk about everything, and she was a chef, and so she would be at the restaurant and then sometimes like go around the tables and see how everything was, and so she would like come over and was like, hey, I met this guy that also has a restaurant and blah blah blah, and he was like interested in maybe opening a restaurant or stuff like that. And I was like, great. And she's like, hopefully we can meet him or you can meet him, like that was like so normal, like
Yeah.
why, just what we were saying. But yeah, so with my last girl, like my last two girlfriends, I have not cheated.
Do you think you would cheat at this age?
No, I don't think so. I would rather break up.
Yeah, me too. I don't think I was
Yeah.
like such a like I hated labels when I was younger, so I was always like into cheating and like when I did get a label, like not that I would even count that as a relationship. At 16, I cheated on one Sean with another Sean, like but I wouldn't consider it. But when I was 19, my first serious boyfriend, he told me, and we partied, like we had so much fun together. We honestly did had like great relationship, really trusting, really great communication. And he told me something right off the bat because I wasn't a label person. I hated labels, I hate relationships. And he said, I get all of that, but I just want you to know no matter what you do cheating wise, even if you're drunk, he's like, I'll never accept you being drunk as an excuse. I will dump you. And I cared about it, so I just never cheated after that. Like, I just kind of fell out of my system. I was like, fuck, like, he's right. Like, either be with someone or break up. And
Yeah.
I always had in my mind that there was no excuse for it. Like I could never say something to him that would excuse my behavior of cheating. So I just never put myself in those situations to be cheating because I was like, I didn't want to break up. I was like, he's not going to accept. And he really meant it. Like he was really easy going about a lot of things. So the things he did put his foot down on, he like didn't flinch. And that was like one of only two things I remember him putting his foot down on. So that was it. I just never did it after that. I don't think I would. But $1 million question here. If you're on a break, is it considered cheating? Like,
Ross and Rachel.
and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up. Because I had this situation. Because I do not consider it cheating. If you're on a fucking break, you're not together. So it is not cheating. It's just not cheating. There's just your whole point is to break up and see if there's other potentials out there or find yourself or figure some shit out, but you're not in a relationship. So I
Yeah.
do not consider it cheating. And this was a big fucking problem. This actually really was the one of the big final straws with my other ex that was with a long-term relationship that thank God, like he was like the worst relationship I've ever been in. But we were on a break and I went on a trip where guys and girls went on a trip together. And so I made out with another guy and I didn't even tell him. I was like early 20s, or I guess mid 20s. I was mid 20s. And he found out and he lost his mind. And I remember he always told me, he's like, had I known, I would have fucked the entire city while we were on a break. And I was like, well, you could have because it's not cheating. You're on a break. And
So
he wasn't from this country and it's not my fault he didn't grow up on this show. Like
So yes, I feel like it's not cheating, but why are you on a break? I mean, are you trying to work things out? Are things just not working? Like,
But
why
that's
would
true
you even
too. That's true. I don't,
like?
we definitely were not working. But I
Well,
agree
yeah,
with
but
you. Like, sorry, go ahead, please.
so for me, like, if a break is a breakup, I mean, I don't need a break. Oh, let me figure out. Like, no, I mean, if you don't know what you want, fuck it. We're done.
I know, I find breaks really odd too now at 37. At 25 or 26, I don't know how old I was. I think I was 25 or 26. Um, they made sense to me and they still sort of make sense to me in a sense. Like, we really loved each other, but we couldn't make it work. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, no matter what we did, there was so much ego, so much broken shit. And we were
Yeah.
so young that we were still so hopeful that we could work it out. And I think a break, in my view, a break is like you still sort of hang out, you still see if there's something worth salvaging, but you're not together. Because a break, if I break up with someone, I don't want to talk to them and communicate. I'm still friends with exes, but not right off the bat. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I have a lot of exes that like a couple years later, like even the one that I dated when I was like 19, 20 for years, we became really good friends 4 or 5 years after we broke up, not right after. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I and I don't really know about like being friends with an ex, like it's kind of weird. So to me, a break is like seeing if you could work things through, but not committing a relationship. Like you're not putting the time you would in a relationship or committing yourself to that person. You're going out with other people, seeing if there's really grass is greener. It's just giving a breather. And that sometimes makes sense. It didn't in that relationship, but it does sometimes. Like sometimes, like let's say, like I know people who have family issues. Like their families are so different and they want to be together, but they're struggling so much and they don't have that many issues within each other. So they aren't together, but they're still spending time together and speaking with their families and seeing if they can make things work instead of just like not talking at all. So sometimes I think it makes sense, but it is a ridiculous concept too. I do agree with you. I'm kind of 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, uh,
Like,
I don't, because then that's what happens. That if you're like, oh, I think we should take a break, then I can cheat on you.
it's not
But then
cheating.
it's, but yeah, but then you say it's not cheating, but then are there ground rules when we say, hey, let's go on a break, and what does this break entail? Like, can
Well,
we
you
cheat?
could. You
Can
could.
we? Well, I mean, if it's gonna be like that, then okay. But just, oh, let's take a break to see. I have to think things over. Like, no, fuck it. Let's just break up.
Okay, so if a girl's with you and she says, like you something happened, let's say like you get into a really big fight or you share something with her that she's not sure she can accept and she says, I need a breather, like I need some time away from you, would you consider yourself single? Like, is that a break? Like, and let's say she goes like 3 weeks without talking to you.
Yeah, I consider that a fucking breakup. I mean, if yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I don't know, maybe because I've seen it work, I've seen things work out, like I've seen people like that family situation with those people, like she went out of her way to spend time with her family and make her understand why she wanted to be with him. She couldn't, but she also wanted to do it without the pressure of being with him. Like she wanted to, like when you're with someone, I think maybe she felt more responsible. I don't know. I can't really explain it because I wasn't her. I know for me, it didn't make any sense. Like we were trying to make things work, but I also wanted to see what else was out there. So I guess in a way you are right. Like it was kind of a breakup because to me a break means you also see what else is available. You know what I'm trying to say? So maybe that's a shady fucking thing. I'm still 50-50. It
Yeah,
is shady. But
yeah,
you can put ground rules.
it's
Like you can say you can go on dates, but you can't sleep with people. But you do need to see what else is out there if you're on a
well,
break,
yeah.
if
I
you
mean,
ask me.
if you want to do that, yeah. But there's a saying in Mexico that you leave, you have several candles on. Like it sounds better in Spanish, but yeah. So it's always like, oh, keeping several candles on so you don't lose like the light. I don't know how to translate it
It
correctly,
is
but
it's stringing someone along, kind of what you're saying.
Well, yeah, no,
And
but if
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 we
I
say it
have,
in
I mean,
English.
if I'm no, but if I'm dating you, I have one candle on, like
Mhm.
lit. But then if we're like, oh, let me see what else is out there, then I can start lighting other candles. And then if one goes out where I know I have other ones. And for me, that's kind of like, well, why,
Shady.
yeah, I mean, why do you why even go on a break? Just break up. Or like what you said, like let's set rules. Like, oh, you want to see what else is out there? Okay, you can go out, but let's not have sex. Let's just like you can go out on a date, but no sex.
See, I do agree with you a bit. I'm really 50-50. Like, I don't know, I would be okay with it at 37 if a guy wanted to go on a break. I think I would just say, no, let's end it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think that because I think time is so valuable at this age when you're looking for a relationship or you want to get married, even if you've been married and get divorced, like, the you don't feel like time isn't forever anymore at this
yeah,
age. When you're in your 20s, it feels like forever. Like you have
yeah,
no problem wasting 4 or 5 years with someone. It just feels like, we're at the age where our parents are getting sick and our friends' parents are getting sick and they pass away. So things don't feel endless anymore as much as they did in your early 20s. So at the time, it really didn't seem like a problem. But at this age where I see people passing away, people I care about love, get sick, like things like that, like we're just older, we're getting sicker. I do value my time so much that I agree with you. Maybe I wouldn't do a break. But again, I don't know. I don't know. This one's a hard one for me.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it also depends on what's going on. And for me, like if you and I were dating and you're like, "Hey Ben, I need a break," I would be like, "You know what? Take whatever time you want, and like if you want to get back together, reach back out. But if I'm already going out with someone, then it's done. Like
Fair.
because I
Fair.
again, it's time. Like I don't have I don't want to keep wasting time just waiting to see if you are ever gonna come back. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. It is fair. It's fair. I mean, when you're older, it's fair. Time is all like it's your most valuable trait. All
Yeah.
right. So okay, so let's do this one. And I know you kind of touched base with it, but so I know the answer, and I'm sure listeners know the answers too, but you can tell us about it. Have you ever been cheated on?
Yes, I have.
Can you share the
Yes, of
juicy
course.
bits?
So, with my only, I think she has been like kind of like my only girlfriend here. I mean, I've gone out here, but here in Austin, and I'd say, but we started going out, um, and then things went like so quick, like from 0 to 60, like in days. Like she was going through some issues, and I was living by myself, and she just suddenly like 2 days after she was already like moving in to my place and not
2 days
moving
after
in
your
like
first date?
yeah, like after like 2 3 dates she was already like spending the nights every night at my place. And
Oh,
like
so you had
so
two,
she
three
would
dates. 2, 3 dates, not 2, 3 days.
yeah, no, sorry, 2 3 dates, yeah.
Okay.
She like spent the night over, and then it was like a work day. And so she woke up and she's like, I have to go and grab some and like shower and grab clothes and stuff like that. I'll see you at work. Okay, we work together. And so
Oh,
I'm like, okay. And so she left, and then I saw her at work, and then after work she's like, want to go grab dinner? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so now it was like every day she was just spending the night at my place. And this was like again, like I'm like, no. So I after like a month I was like, hey, um like this is going too fast. Like I was not thinking of moving in. Like I was not thinking you were gonna move in. And I know you have not moved in, but I mean it kind of feels like it. So so I'm like, I don't think this is gonna work. Like you need to get your own shit together. And yeah. And so we kind of broke up. And then after like 6 months, we saw each other again. Like even though at work, like she got another job at work, and so it's kind of like a big campus where I work. So I would not see her that often. And then I saw her, and we started talking again. And then we started like dating, and she had her own place, and everything was fine. Um, and So then we kind of like started dating, like it was like serious. And one day she was just like not answering, not answering. And there was a guy she had introduced me that I felt like something had happened before. And yeah, something had happened before. And she never told me that something had happened. She's like, oh, this is my friend, yada, yada. And so I was like, why isn't she answering? Why isn't she answering? And I ended up going to her place. Oh, she answered and she said that she was feeling sick. And I ended up going to her place and he was there.
Oof. Did you break up with her
And
after?
of course,
You never took her back. What is she? What was her explanation? Did you ask for one?
well, she said that like things like they had been together before, and like they don't like nothing had really happened, but then I came back in the life and or in her life, and she was just like, um, well, I really care about you more than him, but
And why did
he
she
invited.
cheat?
I know, well, why? Because she still wanted to see what would happen with this dude,
Huh.
and
Well, were you
so
guys officially boyfriend and girlfriend?
yes,
Uh-huh. Huh. So how did you
so
feel? Like, I mean, I'm just curious.
well, I mean, I was fucking upset.
No
Um,
shit. You're like, no shit, Cherry. I'm like,
yeah, I mean,
I
oh
love
yeah,
what
I
she's
was
so
fine.
here.
Yeah,
That's so
oh
cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, so you know what? Um so we kind of I kind of like forgave her. I really can't remember. So I forgave her and then
But forgave her and took her back, or forgave her as a human
yeah,
being?
forgave her and took her back.
Oh, you did take her back.
Yeah, I did take her back and then everything
What
was
made you what
fine.
made you take her back?
I was stupid. And so one of the other things is that I had been living here in Austin by myself and it was barely like my first year and I kind of like felt lonely. And so
Mm,
I was just like, oh, like at least she's with me, like at least I have someone with me. You know, I
you're
don't know, I just felt
settled.
kind of
Yeah, yeah, that's normal. I
yeah,
mean, it happens. It happens. They say like the first 2 years in your move is like one of the loneliest and self-reflecting moments because when you first move somewhere, you don't know anybody or you know very few people or it's a completely new environment. It's like the first 2 years is super vulnerable. So she caught you at a really
yeah,
vulnerable moment. Okay,
yeah.
so
So then
you take her
so
back.
I take her back and everything's going fine. And then I start like she's on her phone and like like oh yeah, no, 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 I'm just on Instagram or whatever. And then I should not have done this, but because you should never go through someone's phone, but I did, and I saw text messages and with that same dude. So I'm like, you know what, this is fucking
How,
over. And
wait, how long
yeah,
after when you took her back did you catch her again?
like maybe a month after.
Ooh, so she didn't even let it settle in.
Yeah, no.
Did it
So
give you, so when you broke up with her after that, like, did it take you a while to get over her, or do you have trust issues with girls? Like, what did it do for you emotionally?
um um I'm getting I mean, I feel I did have trust issues. Um, and that's maybe one of the reasons why I was like, fuck it, I don't want to be with anyone else. I mean, if this happens, like no. And so I had a bit of trust issues for a while.
How would you tell our listeners like a good way to get over that stuff, or what helped you get over it?
Oh, I think it was just not like just like fuck it, I'm not gonna fall in love again. I was
And
just
that
like
helped
in
you get over
denial.
it?
Yeah, I was just like
Okay.
in denial. I'm like, yeah, I don't recommend it. I mean, this is what I did, and I'm pretty sure I could have done something else and just started dating or just like I don't know. I felt it was just that I was so vulnerable during that time, and I just felt like I was taken advantage of, and so I was just like, "Fuck this, fuck
Fuck people.
everyone."
But
Yeah.
that's also part of the stages of getting over something, right? It's the anger. I mean, I haven't been cheated on that I know of, but I do always say this when it comes to any problem relationships is that, you know, humans are different. And for some reason, we allow ourselves to take some situations and try to mesh it into our new situation, like new relationships, whether it's friends or dating. For some reason, we have this like let it be okay situation where we feel like if we had one bad relationship, we can carry on that baggage into the next relationship. But it's not actually okay. Like I always say this, if I got had a really bad shitty boss, I can't go to my next job and be half-ass and be an asshole and treat my boss with suspicion and be like, well, until he shows me that he's a good boss, I'm not gonna work that well. I can't do that. I can't be like, oh, and my boss is like, why are you half-assing the job? And I was, well, my last job, they took
Yeah.
advantage of me. We don't allow that in any situation. So that I would just get fired. Like it wouldn't even, going into that job, you can't behave like that. It's so you don't mentally even allow yourself to. But for some reason,
Yeah, of course.
we allow ourselves to carry on bullshit from one relationship, assuming the other human being is just the same. And we treat them as if they were also the one that did it to us. And I
Yeah.
don't think that's okay. Like I've always said that baggage is only meant to be carried through the airport. So if it was me, like what I know, what I always tell people if they have gone through that is that you need to always work on whatever it is and resolve it when it comes to someone doing something to you. Like if it's now that this girl cheated on you and you don't have trust, then you need to fix that within yourself before someone else, because you can't expect the last girlfriend to be like held at the cross because the other one was an asshole, just like
Oh yeah.
you.
And that's probably one of the reasons why I stopped dating for so long. Because I was like, I know I'm not fine with myself.
Yeah.
I have trust issues, and I know I'm gonna bring this into my next relationship. So I'm not gonna do it. Like
And
I
that's
I
that's
yeah.
actually a good thing. That's a good thing. Because
Yeah.
reality is, I don't believe everything's 50-50. I think two people take part into some stuff. Like maybe you didn't realize that you were relying on her so much because you were lonely, so she felt a lot of pressure. So that could have been your part in this. But
Yeah.
I mean, not that cheating is ever a solution to all that. She could have communicated with you or whatever her problem was. Not that cheating is okay, but I'm just saying like you did somehow partake in a little bit and you need to fix whatever that was. So, but her behavior is a reflection of herself. Her choice and her reasoning of doing something is actually a reflection of herself and her own insecurities. So you had to fix something and she has to fix something, and both of you need to go on to the next relationship just like as you would into a new job, with the best intent, with
Yeah.
zero baggage. And so if that meant taking time off and being like fuck it, then that's fine. That's part of dealing with it. But at least you're not carrying your bullshit into the next situation. Did you carry it into the next situation?
Well, that's the thing. So my next situation was like way way after. um I was like, that's why I didn't have dating apps, because I'm like, no, I still have this, I still feel that anger and that, uh I don't know, like I don't know what I was feeling, but I still carry it, and I knew I was carrying it, so that's why I never downloaded an app. I was only like, oh well, if I meet a girl and it's just like a hookup, cool, but I don't want to get involved in anything. And and if I felt that something was going on with, like, if I hooked up with a girl or something, I would just be like, hey, you know what? I'm not ready to make a commitment. Like, this is as far as we're gonna get. So I would like push everyone away.
And you're still like that now or no? I mean, like how
No,
long
no,
has it
not
been?
anymore. No, right
Okay.
now yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm way more open of dating someone and going out and yeah, I mean, I don't
Well,
feel, yeah.
I think also too what's really important that we share with our readers is that people don't remember that everything is a moment. So everything in life, good or bad, is a moment. So you can overcome pretty much anything and everything, like, and you do. That's life. You do overcome every
Yeah.
part of life. We overcome it. So if it sounds like you took the time, you overcame your issues, and it sounds like the next time you go in, you're not carrying this baggage of bullshit into it,
Yeah, of
So,
course, yeah.
and I feel like, but when people are in the moment, they feel like, I'll never trust again. I'll never blah, blah. Well, that will make you never trust again. That will make you, that actually is an excuse, I think, to allow yourself to behave in a way to never trust again. Instead of dealing with the moment, fixing the situation, fixing how you feel, and overcoming it. Saying, I will never again is actually allowing yourself to not work on yourself, to move on
Yeah.
past that, you know? So it is good that we let them know that.
Yeah,
Well,
I feel I carried that for a long time, but now I'm way better.
well, that's good. I mean, because the thing is, reality is you do get over it. You do. Like, you can, not you do, you can, you know? There are actually worse things in life than I mean, I think cheating is fucking awful, but there are worse things in life that people deal with way worse things in life, like, and they overcome it and they don't bring it into every aspect of their life. So that is something I think we just have to, as a society, stop accepting. Like, I went on a date with this guy and he was like, "Oh, I've this, I'm like that." And if you can work with me and overcome this issue with me, I can trust you. I don't trust that easily. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. Like, as simple as that. Like, at 40 something years old, you should take responsibility for your choices, your behavior. And if you want to overcome it, you overcome it and then open the door to someone else. But I'm not sitting there going to be, digging a fucking massive hole for myself while trying to fix your issues and losing myself. Like, and those aren't easy issues to deal with, but I didn't cause them. So why am I the one that's, gonna hurt myself trying to fix you? And it was like on our first date, he brought that up. Like, everyone has some situations that you would love the support of healing, but making someone else responsible of your healing are totally two different things. So I think it's really important that people fix that before going in. And really, honestly, I know I keep saying it, but like, you just don't start a new job that way. You just don't. So we don't allow that in societies, but we allow this behavior, and it should just not be allowed.
Yeah, I mean I get what you say about the baggage and like if you're putting it as an example with a job, but the job is not gonna hurt you in your heart,
You can, of
you know.
course, some people work their asses off. They put everything into their job. They don't spend time with their family. They don't see people they care about, and then they get fired and they get treated like shit, or they get used and like taken advantage of. Or there's like, I know a lot of
But
people like on
but
work
I
visas.
yeah, I know, but I feel
And
like the investment that you're putting into a relationship than in job, it's totally different. Like
for you, but maybe not for someone else.
well,
I
yeah,
could tell
maybe.
you, for the longest time, work for me was like number one. Like, all I cared about was like excelling in my career for a long, long time, and I just didn't care about anything else. And when I like people who are on work visas, like a lot of companies know, like they can take advantage of you because you're tied to them. And when I got taken advantage, it really wore me out. Like, it really emotionally wore me. Like, I tried so hard to like get to the top on that. So
Hmm.
I didn't take that drama into my next position. But
Yeah,
I, you know, but
yeah.
anyway, so I have another question. Have you ever cheated with? Were you the mistress ever? Or Mr. I don't know what you call a mistress and a guy.
I don't know, but yes, I have many
You have?
times. Yes,
Even today? Oh, willingly, knowingly?
yes.
Damn, that's so bad. What goes around comes around, you shady motherfucker.
I know, I know.
Why? Why would you allow yourself to be the mistress?
I don't know. I always think like, well, I'm not who's cheating, so I'm fine.
No.
I always feel I'm in the
No.
clear.
And so you still do it today?
I mean, the last time I did it was maybe 3 years ago.
You deserve being cheated on, babe. You're so bad. Would you
Have
steal something
you?
from not okay, well, like when I was younger, yeah, but not as an adult, like willingly, ever. By accident, yes. By accident. And I honestly had no fucking idea. And that makes me like fuming because I don't I have a lot of married friends, and I'm a lot of times a third and fifth wheel. I'm just as close with the husband as I am to the wife. I really take pride in being able to be friends with a guy and a girl and never put myself in those situations. It's like I would never ever ever want that on me, like that. What do they say, like the red scarlet or whatever? Like, I just don't want it because I spend time with
Okay, okay.
my friends' married husbands, and unknowingly I have been used in that situation. Like, I match with someone online, and like, you assume when they're online with their pictures out there that they wouldn't be in a relationship because their wives' friends can see them.
Okay,
And
but wait, you're talking about wife like marriage.
yes,
You think it's the same marriage than girlfriend boyfriend?
yes, yeah, just as bad.
Okay.
So because you were trying to like redeem yourself a little bit, you're saying like I only did it with a relationship. You're like, oh, so
No,
you're
I'm
totally just trying to redeem yourself.
no. Well, I was just you were just talking about marriages and like that like oh
Well, for
I
me, it
didn't know.
happened
Yeah.
with marriages, but I would think it's just as bad as a relationship. And I had no fucking idea. I had no idea. Like really, I didn't. Like you're trying to redeem yourself. There's no redeeming it. You knowingly did it. I would never knowingly touch someone who is in a relationship. At least I try my best. Maybe a couple if they're a couple and I had no idea. I really have never done. I don't look at other taken people that way. I just don't see them as available. And I will tell you, like, what really pisses me off is this is LA. So many people, yourself included in Austin, are okay with being the mistress. And I'm not. So I cannot believe the person, and it happened to me twice. Those people who put me in those situations where I had no fucking idea. And they could have just done it with somebody who was okay with it. That's what makes me even more mad. Like, why would you lie? Like, you got to be some real sick psychopath to really enjoy lying to the full circle. Like, wouldn't it just be easy for the mistress to know and like know the boundaries and know what to do and not to do and that kind of shit? Like,
So yeah, I when I went in, I knew and
see?
yeah, I mean I knew that they were, but it was like clear, like, hey, this is just what's happening, and that's it. And I'm like,
At
okay,
least you did it willingly. I'm telling. Okay, you know how I found out? One of them, I started to have like a feeling we'd go on dates. We hung out a few times, and I was like, something about him just doesn't like look wise. He was great, successful, like my type of manly man. But something was hitting me wrong, and for no reason, I'm like, listen, I just don't want to hang out anymore. Like I just trusted my gut. I'm like, I can't explain why. I'm really into the situation. I'm really, really into him, and I was like, I just something is like telling me no. And then a year later, I went out with like my friend's friends, and she had just gotten married to this guy. We're talking about people and like dating online, whatever. I'm telling you, I swear to my life, I don't know why, because I hadn't even thought about this guy for a year. And I was like, yeah, like one bad situation I was in, I kind of had this. She's like, I don't even know how we brought it up. That I was like, some guy gave me this sense, and I always trust my gut. And this guy just gave me a bad sense. And then she's like, oh, blah, 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 what did he look like? And then I still had him as a match online. So I pulled him up, and she's like, oh my God, that's my husband's cousin, and he's married like today. Like they just saw him, he was still married. And I was like, oh my God, like trust your fucking intuition. Because
yeah.
I don't even know what made me, I hadn't talked about the guy in a year. I had never even talked about the guy. And I had just, intuition told me not to date him, and intuition told me to tell her. And the second guy, we had hung up for a month, or like I think it was just under a month. We hung up for a bit. I really liked him. Like maybe I just only like married men. I mean, they were the two guys that I can only think of that I was like really attracted to. I was really into him. He hung out with all my friends, and a lot of my friends are guys. He even came to a barbecue with a bunch of my guy friends, and he went out with we went out as couples, like me and another one of my really close friends as couples. We went out all the time. We were even planning a trip, the four of us. And like he spent so much time with me. Never ever did I have any fucking inclination. Nobody had inclination. Like we'd hang out till like 4 or 5 in the morning. He never answered another phone. Nothing. I think the only thing that probably should have gave it away is that he paid a lot in cash, and a lot of times when it was card, I paid. Like if they needed a credit card, he was like, "Oh, do you want to give your card?" And I just did. So I should have maybe been, because people don't really pay with cash nowadays. Like it should
Yeah.
have been weird. But then he called me one day when we were waiting to go to lunch, me, him, and my other couple friends, and he's like, my wife just found out about us. And I was like, what do you mean? I just found out about your wife. Like, what the fuck? And I just hung up. I never spoke to him again. I don't feel like I ever liked him. Like I felt like I didn't even know who he was. Everything about him was a lie. So I was like, right, blocked him. Never thought about him again. Like that guy was full line. But again, like why not do it with someone who would be willingly a mistress, or misters or whatever you were. Like I don't understand why rope everybody into the lie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say that like I know I'm doing wrong, but in a
It's
way,
super
it's
wrong.
I know, but I was just like,
You
I
just
mean,
don't feel
there's no,
responsible. You're like, this
yeah,
person's
and
gonna
there's
do it
no commitment.
anyway
Yeah, why not do it with me?
because you don't want the karma.
Well,
It comes
I'll,
back. I mean, and you
I
know how
know,
shitty it feels. It happened to you. If you know how
I
shitty it
know,
feels, you're partaking into making someone feel shitty. Like
I
there
know.
is
I
somebody else in
understand that.
it.
Yeah, I
But
understand that.
to each their own. To each their own, my friend. Well, what's okay? I mean, we got to round it up because we're almost at an hour. But what's worse for you? Like being cheated on or being cheated with. Like, did you consider? I mean, I guess you don't mind because you don't mind doing it. Like to me, I
Yeah,
think being used as a mistress is almost as equally as bad as being cheated on. Like
but
I just
if
feel
you
so taken
knew,
advantage of.
but if you knew, and you're like, okay,
But I
then
wouldn't be okay with it.
well, yeah, that's your thought. You wouldn't be okay with it, but I'm like, okay, I understand. I'm not gonna, because then there's no feelings, there's no emotions. It's just
But
whatever
there are
happens.
other people, and society is based on caring about more than just yourself. There's
I know.
a community of emotions involved.
Yeah,
Well, we're not going to give you counseling during this, but
I
all right,
know, but
last two questions. Last two questions. And then what's worse to you, emotional or physical cheating?
um, emotional.
Oh, me too. So much worse. Oh my God, so much
Yeah,
worse. And last question, what do you think of open marriages?
I think they're fine, but I would never do it.
Like you
I mean,
don't mind? Well, we all got it. You're all
they can
for
be
being
all open with me. It's fine, but I'm not gonna
strictly the
do it.
mistress. Anybody listening, if you're looking for a third,
Yeah,
Ben is available.
yeah, totally available. Yeah,
But you wouldn't want it. It's funny,
no,
you're
of
willing
course,
to be cheating with, but you don't want to be cheated on. You're not even willing to
correct,
have an open marriage. You don't want your significant other with anybody else, and you won't be with anybody else while you're with somebody, but you're not responsible for someone else's relationship.
correct. That's
I
their
I
choice, and
I
that
couldn't
happened to me
be that
once.
person. That happened to you once. What do you mean? What do you
So
mean?
I was going out, like I was hooking up with this girl. She was married with another girl. I mean, she's bi, and so and the wife knew,
Well, that's fair. That's what they agreed on. So you were a
of
mistress
course.
for once where everybody knew. you were you were you were a respected mistress that was. But you wouldn't do an open marriage. Like I would never do an open marriage. But I
Yeah,
also
I would never do it.
wouldn't partake in an open marriage. I mean, I can understand why two girls would use you for an open marriage because you have something that they can't give each other. Fair.
Yeah,
But I also I mean I just met up with a friend of mine who's like thinking about doing an open marriage and he said it's like getting a massage somewhere else. But I'm okay with other people's open marriages. That's up to them. I would never do it because if we're not satisfying each other and you got to go somewhere else, we've got bigger issues in my eyes. But again, I mean, I just actually bumped into someone who has an open marriage and they said it saved their marriage. So to each their own.
yeah,
But I definitely wouldn't be okay with it. And you, surprisingly, who's partaking in all of it, wouldn't be okay with it.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Well, if you want to have some hate letters for Ben too, guys, we all know the email address. It's the perfect X. But all right. I mean, we're at the hour, so
Yeah.
I guess next week on Tuesday, tune in, follow us, please help us increase our following and share, subscribe, tell everyone. The perfect underscore X, and yeah, again, like we said in the beginning, questions, hate mail for Ben,
Wow.
topics, the perfect X at hotmail.com, and
Open marriages. Email
open
me.
marriage. Yeah, yeah, open marriages if you need a third. Then any mistress inquiry for mistresses. Ben's available. Finally, a podcast where you look bad and I look good. I mean, it only took us 6 episodes to get there. But I'm all for this.
Well, who knows? I mean, there's probably more that I'm gonna end up looking bad. So
I hope so.
just
I hope so.
yeah,
I had 5 episodes where I look like shit and you look like the hero. So,
just wait
so
and see.
I know. Let's come on, dear God, please. Like, let's keep getting. This is a great tipping point, and I did so unexpected. I really never thought you would have been the mistress. So, good
Oh
question to
yeah,
ask.
I mean, and it's been several times. We can
I
later
know.
have a discussion about that.
I know. I know. I think we might have to. All right,
Okay.
guys. Well, tune into us next week. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.